हाँ आ गया, ये देखो अभी तो टाइटल तो आया, आ गया बेटा।
I'll do the slides. और आपको भी तो हो गई। माइंड की चीज है। नॉर्मली वो सभी की
Yes. Yes, I'm better.
What do you want now?
No, no.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Tejal Rawal, and I am the secretary of World Vegan Vision New York chapter. I'd like to welcome you in very informative program today, and this program organized by World Vegan Vision and PFWY. It's called Plant Based Wellness Foundation. World Vegan founded by Antisha since 30 years. And they are promoting vegetarianism and vegan and making awareness for everyone how to live healthy. So now I would like to introduce you Ms. Suman Munjal, who is the president of World Vegan New York chapter. Sumanji, please.
Thank you. Today is our first time every month. We will have some speakers. And, as Rakesh ji, he's our vice president. And he is the one who is giving you the speech. And I think he's a walking encyclopedia. Anything you if it is required. And I don't know how he's sitting right here. And I think next time I'm going to be more serious and go according to his food plan, because he thinks that his mother-in-law was here with taking a high dose of insulin. And when she stayed here for a couple of months, while going back to India, it was and it's like very little. So these things can be very helpful. And then we have Gundanji here, a vice president. But I don't know who else is here. Please, Anorin also belongs to our World Vegan Vision. Who else was there? Please stand up and be recognized. But I tell you, this is something that is very, very good for the community. And we enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I am extremely grateful that you all have taken the time to be here. And I think this is a very important topic. When you walk around or when you drive, all you see is new hospitals. And instead of health, I think more and more, and this should be national ours, because the goes into taking care of sickness, which is not. So my presentation is little over an hour, but I think it would be that I'll stop when you all have enough, and then I'll leave it to Q&A, because that's very important. Each one of you have an opportunity to watch some answers. And put a little pen and a little notepad. You can write your questions. You can feel free to interrupt me. In one way, a student at all. We are all learning together. So feel free, and I'll go ahead and answer your question to the best of. So this is our World Vegan Vision, and I'm very. So number one disclaimer: I am not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. My journey started on this path 27 years ago. My wife decided to pursue a degree in nutrition, and my kids didn't want to type paper. So I was the one who was the typist, one finger in the paper, and since she was doing degree in nutrition, very interested in the books. And lo and behold, I started books, and that interested me. And in 2002, about 20 years ago, I read a book about compassion to, and that made me turn vegan. Before that, I used to love dairy. In fact, I would probably have two to three servings of dairy. This was my routine. And when I heard about what's happening now, it's compassion, no. Then what happened, more I learned about the veganism, I realized that the environment talks on. And that's why I'm so fascinated with this word vegan vision, because it's something. Next thing, what I learned, which happened later, is health. I'm very focused on health because veganism, while it takes care of my, your life, plant-based whole food diet is specifically for you. That's the single thing of this diet. So why this workshop? Why we're doing this free workshop? Why we are not telling it? The only thing people always tell is very expensive in this organization. Other than that, we have no agenda. The reason I do that is what's in it for me, WI. So I'll show you what's for me. My spiritual master taught me that live life through three channels: learning, returning. Learning, when you stand up like I'm on a preparation I had to put for this talk, I'm benefited by earning good way. If one of you is benefited, I earn your, that means it's a big asset. And returning is that whatever we have learned in this world, these are the right ways to live. Next is the founders. I want to acknowledge them because they have done such an enormous job. Mr. Shah himself, and he's dedicated himself to promoting this. Very, very inspirational. This talk, like I was telling you 20 years ago, 2 years ago, online. He runs a WhatsApp group every month. More than 60,000 people get from his WhatsApp group. You get a message. He runs about 3 to 4 people every month. He does Telegram. And then what happens is you learn to watch a video, you learn to listen to something that he used to say, or read something that he used to say, and you implement it. Just give me one. Let's go on. Okay, is it okay now? Okay. Sorry, we're experimenting with trying to also do a live YouTube session. So this is the first time. So I realized that this phone is also giving a noise which may be confusing. So Mr. Kapoor is an IIT Kanpur graduate, 1971 batch, and he's hit 3 technology companies. He sold them all. In 2005, he retired. And by 2014, he had like 7 diseases, lifestyle diseases, chronic diseases, as we call it. And what he did is that he watched a movie called Forks Over Knives. By the way, those who registered for the session, I will give you links to a lot of these things that I mentioned. Because every single science and nutrition is not accepted, is evolving. What we learned 30 years ago may not be right thing today. So we have to make sure that I give you the links to whatever I'm talking about. So then he started researching over that movie, and he realized that he met with several doctors, Dr. Esselstyn, so on and so forth, and he learned so much. He went to Dr. McDougall's 1-week-long program and got some of the diseases reduced or the medicine reduced. And then he decided to pursue a passion of teaching people how to live a healthy lifestyle. So that's Mr. Lalit Kapoor. His website is, this is his website, lmkhealth.com. Feel free to log on. Like I said, even if you send me an email later on, we'll send you the link to everything that I have. The next thing is a proof of concept. And this is the most recent one. This young lady, 29 years old, and I want to read some stat to you. July of 2020 to February of 2022, she had the obesity, BMI 44%. She lost 100 pounds, 18 months, which is a healthy timeline. You don't want to lose a lot of weight in one shot.
Then she was pre-diabetic, no more, took her 3 months. High blood pressure, reversed 4.5 months. GERD, reversed 6 months. And then sleep apnea, reversed in 3 months. We have multiple cases of these case studies that we have captured. That, but I don't want to bore you too much, but I want to tell you that this system works. That's the whole idea. Now, let's dive right into the subject and talk about causes of chronic diseases. Okay, so number one is inflammatory food. Now, inflammation happens when body perceives a risk. So let's talk a little bit about what is the perceived risk. And I'll give you an example. You're driving along an expressway and you see light flashing behind you. Immediately your antenna goes up. Maybe I was driving too fast. Maybe I was in the wrong lane. Your body is completely on a high alert. And passes you down and you calm down and you slow down. That's a different story. But same thing happens to your body. Anytime you consume food which is not recognized by the body, that body goes into an inflammation mode. Now, what are those foods? We're going to talk extensively. But just to give you a perspective, if you look at the evolution of this earth, and if this earth's evolution is mapped on a clock, we are in the last 1 minute of that clock. That's how old the earth is. Humans have been around for a few million years, not necessarily maybe in this form, but some other form. All our lives, we have been foraging and eating food that are fruits, vegetables, and so on and so forth. There was no way for us to kill an animal with our teeth or with a stone. Stone age came much later. Fire came much later. Domestication of animals came much later. So there was no way for us to eat animal food, so to speak. So basically, we all evolved as a plant eater. Animal food became later in our part. And I have another actually presentation where we talk about why we are more like herbivores than carnivores. For example, how we sweat, how we cool our body. We cool by perspiration. Animals, the carnivore cool by sticking their tongue out, and that's how they cool themselves. They have canine teeth. We don't have canine teeth. Their intestine is 1 times the body length. Our intestines are 6 times the body length, and so on and so forth. There are hundreds of such examples going back. Their saliva is acidic. Our saliva is alkaline, so on and so forth. So we are basically herbivores, right? So inflammation happens when there is a risk. Now, what is the risk? Corn, fresh corn, which is plenty available in Long Island now, is whole food, plant-based. But when you distill it down to high fructose corn syrup, that's an inflammable food, that food that inflames your body. The minute you take the corn syrup, your body goes into the mode. What is this subject? What is this object that I'm eating right now? I don't recognize it. And it is immediately sent to the liver and body goes into defense mode. Another concept that I'll share with you right now is, once your body goes into defense mode, it fights it. It fights it, and then it surrenders. And the another perfect example is, go back to your high school days or college days when you had your first drink. One drink probably got you close to being tipsy. Today, I know people who can have 6 drinks and then get up and drive the car. Why? Because their body is given in, and now they're just okay with it. And then they feel, a lot of my friends feel very proud of the fact that, I take 6 and nothing happens to me. Yeah, but actually you have tamed your body into submission rather than living the way the body should be lived. Second thing is deficiency of nutrition. Now, when you look at let's say, I go to Costco and I see that they have, instead of turmeric, they have curcumin, which is an element of, or a component of turmeric. And everybody buys those bottles. There's a huge shelf of vitamins and stuff like that. Now you take one element or one piece out of a whole food and you eat it. You don't know what kind of an imbalance you're causing in your body. It's a fallacy to say that, I take turmeric or I take vitamin C and I'm healthy. No, that's not true. A strawberry alone has over 1,000 micronutrients, many of them not even fully tested as to what the benefits are. Think about it for a moment. So when you don't eat strawberry and you eat a straw component of the strawberry, you're not helping your body. You're not giving it the right food. Next is, and the another, the deficiency of nutrition is animal. Animal food do not have
yes, they have major nutrients like protein and so on and so forth, but they do not have fiber, they do not have carbohydrate. Then excessive nutrient, protein. Perfect example is that we in our society eat far too much protein than we need to eat. And I'll give you another example. When we are born, our mother's milk has 5% protein. But in 3 months, a baby's weight is double. In 1 year, the baby's weight is triple. Is the highest growth of your life that occurs in the first year. Your length doubles, your weight triples. Nowhere in your life you will experience this kind of a growth, all with 5% protein. Our consumption of protein is in excess of 10, 20, 30%. Okay, so what happens when your body gets the protein? Body cannot use protein, cannot store it. So it has to convert it. It has to convert it into ammonia. Ammonia is toxic. So first it goes into liver, it damages your liver. Then it goes into kidney, damages your kidney. That's why a lot of people are on dialysis because they have too much protein. And then your body cannot get rid of it. It is moved farthest in your body into your toes. That's why when you look at the medieval age kings pictures, all their toes are bandaged because they have, I think they call it a gout, right? Gout. The gout disease happened because that ammonia is sitting over there. You stop eating protein, slowly and gradually that ammonia will be processed and brought back and flushed out through the urine. So that's one example of excessive nutrients. Fat. I don't have to tell you that. We eat far more fat than we need to, but fat like oil, like ghee, these are fats that are refined. Every food that is balanced has fat in it. You don't need to have extra fat on the side. And we talk about omega-3 and omega-6 in a little bit. Now, processed food, or I'm sorry, the toxicity. The toxicity comes from air, it comes from like high fructose corn syrup and so on and so forth. So even animal food like fish might have mercury and so on and so forth. Once you consume it, it goes into your body and body doesn't know how to deal with it. Last one is endocrine imbalance, which is, actually, you know what? I have a slide on each one of them. I'm sorry, okay. So let me go back and give each one of them. Animal food and egg we talk about, they are not fit for human consumption, okay? Then the next one is dairy, okay. So what happens with dairy is, and this is a hypothesis, I have no way of testing it. Thousands of years ago, before animals were domesticated, what caused the animals to be domesticated? There must be some sort of a period where the crops failed or there was a deficiency of crops or some factor happened and somebody must have seen a calf suckling the milk from mother cow. So they said, why not I try? So they must have tamed the cow or put that cow together in a bite to tree or something and then took the milk out and they started milking. That's how the domestication of animals started. But dairy is not fit for human consumption. And in India, a lot of people are vegetarian and there are a lot of diseases because of dairy. They don't eat animal products, I mean meat or stuff like that, but dairy itself is a big problem there. Another thing is refined food. Like peanut is good, sugarcane is good, but when you make sugar out of it, when you make peanut oil out of peanut, that's not fit for consumption. Body goes into inflammation because of those food. Processed food, like you look at corn flakes, it's not as healthy as corn. It has very least amount of nutrients. It just tastes good. The reason it tastes good because they have already put chemicals in it and ingredients in it that make you feel that it's tasty. But taste has nothing to do with the actual nutrition. And the last is alcohol. I mean, we all socially drink once in a while, but that's okay. But alcohol is one thing that if you look at an alcohol person who is alcoholic, they never get satiated. They need to have a drink morning, evening, afternoon, all the time they need to remember. So that's inflammatory food. Then deficiency of nutrient, fiber. This is a most significant nutrient that we need to get. If you go to Middle East, Sahara Desert, African continent, people consume usually 100 to 120 grams of fiber a day. In America, if you look at our food, especially the processed food, it has no fiber in it. Whether it's a hamburger, whether it's white bread, all the essential fibers are taken out. Now, there are two kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber is one that you cannot visibly see. Let's say you took a sugar cane and you squeezed it and out comes sugar cane juice. It has fiber in it, but it's soluble fiber. What comes out of the machine that you throw out is insoluble fiber. There are foods that you can chew, like an apple. If you chew, that apple has fiber, both kinds, soluble and insoluble. Nitric oxide. This is a very important compound that is very essential for our body. Our blood vessels have a single cell lining called endothelium. That's wall, single cell, how tiny it will be, microscopic. But if that wall is damaged, it has inflammation, like the cardiovascular diseases and stuff like that. Plaque happens there. So cholesterol, everybody says cholesterol is bad. Actually, think about it. If that cell wall is damaged, the band-aid or the ointment is cholesterol. So cholesterol circulates in your blood. Whenever it sees a dent or some sort of a nick there, it covers it so the blood does not leak into your body. That's the protection that the body is providing. Nitric oxide can only come when you eat green leafy vegetable, and especially if you chew them. If you chew them, they get mixed with your saliva, forms nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the most healthy thing to have for your blood vessels. I'll give you one example. President Clinton had a heart surgery, then he got stents, and then in 2008 he was advised quadruple bypass surgery. He went to Dr. Dane Ornish, who said, go to Dr. Esselstyn. Dr. Esselstyn put Bill Clinton on a 5-serving of green leafy vegetables, kale, Swiss chard, bok choy, and so on and so forth. He eats 5 servings of them a day, and he reverses heart disease. He doesn't need the quadruple bypass. Now imagine, each bypass costs $300,000 to $400,000. A ball of green doesn't even cost 30 to 40 cents. Again, we can talk about why it is, who wants to eat greens and so on and so forth, and I'll tell you about my experience with it also. Omega-3. Omega-3 and omega-6, they are both essential, but we get omega-6 in most of the foods, but omega-3 is very essential, but it's very limited, like walnuts, flax seeds. And the ideal ratio of omega-3 to 6 should be 1 to 3. Meaning one part, no more than 3 parts should be omega-6 for every 1 part of omega-3. So omega-3 deficiency causes damage to your body. So what we need to do? Flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of flaxseed every day, grounded up, will be digesting well into your body, and then you are perfect. The next one is vitamin B12 and D. So vitamin B12 used to occur in soil when we walk barefoot, when we drank water from the rivers and wells, plenty of vitamin B12. Now our water is fluorinated. We don't work in the field. We don't have any way of getting vitamin B12. So if you're plant-based or if you're vegan, this is one vitamin that is totally essential for you. And this plant-based wellness foundation only recommends this vitamin. No other vitamin is essential. Because you can't just isolate a compound and take it and expect the benefit to come from it. Vitamin D comes from sunshine. Because we live in a colder climate, we live in air conditioning houses, we don't go out in sun. Obviously, you need vitamin D. But taking vitamin D supplement is very controversial. There are a lot of articles on it. If you go on web, you can probably find it. And the last thing is water. Now, the perfect way to drink water is to get up in the morning, before you brush your teeth, is to drink 1 glass of water, start with 1, then go to 2, then go to 3. I take 4 glasses of water first thing in the morning. That's my routine for a very long time. In India, the Ayurveda and the people who follow the Ayurveda system, they also suggest you sit down like this and then drink the water. They felt that this is the right way to drink water first thing in the morning, because then water bypasses the stomach and goes directly to the intestine, causing you to have your bowel movement. It's very, very healthy.
While squatting?
You can drink water spotting and one sip at a time is what they recommend. Another thing which is very good is drinking fruits, eating fruit, eat your water. So there are two ways to do it. One way, so in India, one of the saying is that chew your food, drink your food and chew your water. What do they mean by that? So when you drink water, take a sip at a time. Do not gulp a whole bottle, like a bottle or a glass. Always a good idea to take a sip of water. This way water has time to get properly absorbed into the body. Now chew your food. What that means is that let your teeth do the work of processing the food in such a fine way that when it goes to intestine, all it is left is to digest is lighter on your body, on your digestive system as opposed to being heavy. So when I talk about eat your water, I'll give you a couple of examples. Cucumber, 98% water. Cantaloupe, 92% water. Just having fresh food and like my grandchildren, they love cucumber. They always talk about, oh, they're gonna eat so much cucumber. Nothing wrong with it because 98% is water. It's not that it's gonna fill up their belly. They can eat as much cucumber as they like. Perfectly fine with it. Okay, any questions? I know I have a lot of material to cover, so yes.
So how do you get vitamin B12? Only by supplements or there
Only
are
by
some-
supplement.
Only by
Only by supplement.
And how much you per day?
So there are two kinds of vitamin B12. One is cocomethylamine and the other is methyl something. I'll give you the exact name if you like. So the one that starts with C is most absorbent in your body. Okay? But only 1% get absorbed. So you need to take like the one that I have at home, I think is 25,000 units. But if I get 1% absorbed, it's like 250 units. So that's the rule of thumb. Another thing that we need to be aware of when we take any object, and we have Dr. Ujjwala Shah here, she's expert in pharmacy, so I'm just going to step into her area. We have our liver has something called a first pass effect. When they test medicine, they test to see how much liver has retained, because when you get the B12 supplement, like any other inflammatory object, the liver's first reaction is to expel it out of the body. It is harmful to the body. It doesn't know that it's beneficial to the body because we never isolated B12 in millions of years of our evolution and ate it. We know apple, we know sugarcane, we know corn, we know wheat, we know sweet potato, we know potato, but we don't know B12. So first reaction is to spit it out. But liver has a capacity to throw things out, right? For example, if we take a bucket of water and just throw some water will be remained in the bucket itself, no matter, like it will be sticking to the wall. Same thing happens in liver. So the pharmaceutical industry, they call it first pass effect. What percentage is retained? In B12 case is 1.5 to 2%. So whatever your daily requirement is, you need to take 50 times that for them to be 50. Good question, thank you. Yes.
I was taking 1,000 this vitamin B12 because in the beginning when I became vegan, they told me I should take. And then one time my doctor was looking at my blood tests and he said, no, your B12 is too much. So now I reduced it to 3 times a week. Is that okay?
I've read, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, but I've read that in many cases, just once a week, B12 is enough. You don't need to take it, like every day. So
once a week, 1,000.
No, you know what? I tell you, I brought a book here. I brought this book here, How Not to Die. Just one second. I brought this book here. This guy, Dr. Michael Greger, is an amazing guy. He has about 3,000 videos on every subject here, and I'll share that link with you. How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. He talks about which B12 is good and how much, what quantity. This is the book. How Not to Die. Fantastic book. I strongly recommend. And by the way, he doesn't collect any money from this book. All the proceeds are sent to the charity. So it's very altruistic guy.
Do they have in libraries?
I'm sure, but it is such a good book that I dog-eared it all over the place. And I refer to it like
Mrs. Dam asked me, Shaveen just asked me a question, so if, in order for me to answer her, I'll remember this, I'll go back, pull out this chapter and maybe take a picture and send it to her. That's what I do.
And then how much water per day you should?
Okay, so that's another good question. So water, the right way to
Yeah,
drink.
if you sip it, it takes forever. to
No,
finish.
like, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I work, I have this water bottle at my desk and I take a sip every once in a while. This is 1 liter, 1 quart. So at least I have 2 of these every day, one in the morning, one during the day. But I'll give you another thing. You take, we're gonna talk about juicing in a minute. So if you take fresh juice, you can reduce that amount. If you, coffee, tea do not count because they get expelled out, they're diuretics. But food, like you eat cucumber, that's just
Yeah,
98%. Watermelon, all those foods. So the way to know how much, this is the excellent question, by the way. The way to know how much water to take is watch the color of your urine.
Yeah.
And if you go Google it, I don't have it with me today, but if you Google it, there is a color slide from dark yellow to almost white. And they tell you what is the optimal point for you to have. But then, we all live in fancy homes, we have colored toilets. So you need to go find a toilet is absolutely white and then just compare.
Good, yeah, good answer.
Yes, Aapke.
I would like to share my experience with B12. About 12 years ago, I turned vegetarian and I found that I am proficient, a lot deficient with B12. And I found that I have pernicious anemia and taking supplemental B12 does not get absorbed. So I have to take B12 shots every 2 weeks. When they become vegetarian, they have to be careful about not.
Thank you, Pratibha. You missed part of the, originally when I first started, my first slide was that I'm not a doctor, I'm not here to discuss nutritional advice. This is my 20 years of experience learning this subject, and what I'm talking about is my self-experience. I gave up dairy 20 years ago, I was never B12 deficient. So like I said, you need to go talk to a doctor, and if they take shots, then please take shots. I'm not here to challenge.
No, I'm just trying to tell people that people may not realize when they become vegetarian that they can become B12 deficient.
It's possible. It's possible. 1 second, I'll come to you.
No, I was just gonna, somebody asked a question, how much water to drink, so the rule of thumb is half of your weight. So in other words, if you're 100 pounds, 50 ounces of water, that is the rule of thumb that they use.
There's another way to judge it, but I learned about that, but the most critical that I learned from the medical community, scientist community, is to judge the color of the skin, because that exactly tells color of your urine, because it tells you how much toxicity is being removed from your body.
So as far as a physician, when I go to my general physician, he doesn't, somebody said that they check the fees. Mine doesn't necessarily check the vitamins and so forth. So do you recommend a naturopathic, what type of a physician can aid us on a journey to become vegetarian and maybe after that vegan without harming ourselves?
So this is an excellent question, thank you, Vivi. So many doctors are becoming aware that the modern medicine is not what it's supposed to be. And I'll give you a little example. I'm going to deviate a little bit and come back here. Our first exposure to disease was infectious diseases, if you go back 100 years ago. So when penicillin was discovered, all we had to do was take a penicillin and in 5 days you're done. When I was a kid, every time I go to the doctor, they'll give me something, and in 2, 3 days, 4 days, I was done. I never had to carry a bottle of pill in my pocket the rest of my life. But that has changed in 34 years for 2 reasons. One like processed food, and second thing, the advent of medical and pharmaceutical science. They want to fix everything, So it's a group of doctors, and I can give you some names, are becoming very conscious of how we treat people, not with medicine, but with food. And there are doctors like that, and I don't know any because I never needed one, but if you want, I'll share with Eddie.
There are few in Long Island.
Yeah, so there you go.
The holistic doctors.
Yeah.
And all of them cannot be good, like you need.
Well, how do you
some
find that?
true doctor, true.
Yes, Eddie.
What about smart water? Water that's smart.
Okay, so I knew we were gonna get questions like that, so my answer is this. 80% of your problem. See, one of my theories of doing work is that hit the 80% of the problem. Don't worry about the 20% because you don't want to make best enemy of better. If you can get 80% done, then be happy with 80%. If you want to take a second shot, do another 80%, you're up to 96% and leave it at that. And it helped me because I was never an A student until I did my master's, so that was my justification. So if you can take care of your diet, the way exactly I'm going to show you, and by the way, this is just an intro class. Lalit Kapoor, who I mentioned earlier on, he does a full day workshop. He has a 2 months course. If you take the 2 month course, it doesn't cost you penny, just have to devote your time to it. You will learn a lot about how to deal with it. But my suggestion is that I don't worry about smart water. In fact, when I travel, I take the water from the tap in the hotel. I don't even buy bottled water. There's no need to do anything fancy. 80 to 90% of your problems are solved if you just follow the right diet, which is plant-based, whole food, and IF means intermittent fasting, which you're going to cover. Any other question? This is very good. I like this. Okay, so the excess of nutrient. We talked a little bit about it. Animal protein. I talked about how it becomes uric acid and then external, and protein cannot be stored in your body. So we did that. And a lot of animal products have a lot of fat in it, which is very harmful for your body. And so we're going to cover that. It's saturated fat. See, when we were growing up, when humans were evolving, we never had the luxury of cooking our food. Forget frying or forget sauteing or forget, in India, in India they call it chop, like you put it. Never had the luxury. We just ate everything raw and that suited body very well. Slicing, dicing, chopping, cooking meaning roasting on the fire was perfectly fine. But if you blacken something, that also causes cancer. So one needs to be careful. Then omega-6, we talked a little bit about it. Omega-6 in excess is not good for you. Omega-3 versus 6 has to be balanced in the ratio 1:3. Sugar. Now, I just watched a documentary by Dr. Lustig. Incredible documentary when he talks about sugar, what happens to it. And I have not mentioned it here, but the worst thing is non-sugar substitutes. And let me tell you what happened. You took Splenda or you took I don't even know the names of those things that come in red and blue packet. You took something like that, you put it in your mouth or you put it in your tea and had a sip of coffee. The minute it goes on your tongue, it sends a signal to your brain that sweet thing is coming, pancreas, be ready, release insulin. That Splenda or the sweetener goes into your stomach, the insulin looks for you, can't find it. Guess what? That insulin is roaming around in the blood with nothing to work against. So triglyceride rise. All kinds of complications happen. My suggestion is that if you have to have sugar, yes, it has complications, it has consequences, but stay at least you're healthy, you're not causing more damage to your body. We talked about the processed food. So like for example, potato chips. By the way, I used to love potato chips. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'll share something with you. I used to fly to Memphis every week, and it's a meat country. Coming back, I will finish my work, take the 9 hours of flight. I'll buy the largest bag of potato chips I could get on the plane because that was my dinner. Now I realize how bad it was for me. If you see the commercial for Pringles or Lay's, they say, bet you can't have one. Do you know why they say that? Because they have food scientists working on how to bypass your satiating mechanism. So no matter how many you have, you will never feel satiated. Now go to the flip side. My mother would take potatoes and slice them and then fry them. Obviously not very good, but dry them and fry them. I would have maybe a dozen or 2 chips and I say, Mom, I'm done. I don't want any more because I'm full. That doesn't happen anymore because everybody says, oh, you put on weight, you're not taking care of yourself. It's not us. It's the industry is trying to feed us. They want to give you so much food and charge you so much for it. That's how they make money. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think part of the culture here in the US, we're raised in an environment, and we really only know this when we travel to Europe, let's say. The portions that we're used to in the US are more than double of what you go to dinner, right? You can easily share that with 2 or 3 people.
I totally agree, sir.
But those sizes are wrong,
Excellent,
right?
excellent point. We're gonna come to that, but since you raised the point, I'll point. In terms of plant-based whole food diet, you can never eat enough. Eat as much as you like. I'm gonna share a slide with you which is talk about nutritional density. You're gonna see that, and I don't wanna, give a short summary, but when you go to the slide, you will see that you can overeat food that are processed or animal-based, animal product-based, but you can never overeat plant-based product if they are good food. You will see that, we'll talk about it. Now, toxicity, we all know that our world is very, very toxic. Another word that I want you to remember is GRAS, generally recognized as safe. They are anything but safe. Okay? The reason it is that you convince the scientists at FDA that, hey, it doesn't cause us any toxicity or toxicity is minute enough that it can be bypassed. They will go back and accept it. But in my book, they are not safe. Stay away from it. Like I said, same formula. Any foreign object or food goes into your body, your liver tries to reject it. Same theory goes here. Another thing is the environment, toxicity in the environment. I'm from India, those people who live in New Delhi, the pollution is one of the worst one. Lalit Kapoor's program has people from New Delhi who have, let's say, respiratory illnesses. Once they go on a plant-based diet, in 2 years, they got rid of their inhalers. They got rid of their inhalers. Because your body becomes strong, so you can fight one element. If you have to fight 5, your body might succumb to it. But if you have to only fight 1, your body probably can handle it well. Visceral fat toxicity. Omega-6 saturated fat, when you eat excess fats, they get deposited in your organs, like your kidney, your liver, all over the body parts. So fat get deposited underneath the skin, which is a good fat because it protects you. But the fat that is get deposited into your viscera is not good. So your body stores about 2,000 calories worth of energy in the form of sugar in your liver. So once you consume that sugar, then the body starts to get energy from fat. That's when the visceral fat starts to get reduced. We'll talk about that more actually in the next slide. The lack of physical activity. We talked about 80% being taken care of diet, but the other 20% is physical activity and loving everybody and being friendly and so on and so forth. And the last one is autophagy. Now, I put 2 Hindi words there, and because I have some people from India, but autophagy is a, let me give you the exact, there are 2 Nobel Prize winners, Yoshinori and Dr. Hanzo. So in 2016, Dr. Yoshinori from Japan got a Nobel Prize for on a paper that he wrote on autophagy. Auto meaning self, phagy meaning to eat, like cannibalizing yourself. So what happens in that process is when you remain hungry, your body has to survive. First rule of every living being is to survive and then reproduce. So survival only happens when there is food. So now you did eat, let's say, for 2 days. So your body goes into starvation mode. So energy to vital parts of the body is reduced. But then also body looks for dead cells in your body. Now, why do we get dead cells? Perfect example. Let's say we're getting a shirt made. So you get a fabric and you cut it to get the shirt. What is left is extra. It's good, but it's extra. Same way, when your body consumes every cell in your body, there are 30 trillions of them, and they consume food and poop out, and then there's something which is left, which is not consumed, not pooped out, that remains as a dead cell. Why do we get wrinkles? We get wrinkles because your skin has dead cells. That's how you get wrinkles. So body will go and find those cells and eat them and recycle them. That's the process. Now in India, we have a word called Ekadashi, right here. 11th day of the moon, full moon, the increasing moon and the declining moon, we fast. I've seen my grandmother do that, I've seen my mother do that. They do 24-hour fast. At 6 p.m. they finish the dinner, the next dinner they will have it 6 p.m. next day. After the 12 hours, the sugar is deployed or consumed. All they have to do, the body has to go find those dead cells. So every 11 days, every 15 days, you're removing the toxicity from your body and you're cleaning yourself and energizing yourself. Think of it as an oil change for your car. Then Dr. Hanzo in 2018 came up with a fast for 10 days. And in India, we call it the Navaratri fast. It happens twice a year. And see, one of the funny things is that our ancestors knew a lot more than we give them credit for. But until there is a Nobel Prize, until there is a research, until there is something like that written in science magazine, we don't recognize it. So now people in India are recognizing the benefit of these two fasts. During those 9 days, you eat once a day, but you eat a very low protein diet. I use a Hindi word called sabudana. That sabudana has very low protein. It's one of the what is the English word for it? Tapioca. It has the lowest amount of protein that you can get. So now the body looks for protein. It goes into your whole body gets rejuvenated during those 9 days. And those people now initially fasting is difficult. I'll admit I don't fast. I fast only 1 day a week, but I do eat. So, but I have learned that fasting is one of the most wonderful thing to do for your body.
So what do you think of intermittent fasting?
I'm coming to that. That's that BBWF, IF. So we are up to plant-based.
So when this kind of fasting, you cannot drink water either, or you can drink water?
And that's a very good question. Water, light tea is allowed in some cases. You know, for example, if you just suit yourself, and also people from Islamic faith, they do fasting like that. You know, the whole month of
Ramadan.
right. That's the right way to keep your body.
Only thing is when you're diabetic, the sugar starts getting low, so that's a little bit harder.
If you follow plant-based whole food diet, your diabetes will go away in 2 to 3 weeks. Simple as that. I've done it with my mother-in-law. You mentioned it yourself, but the doctor in India went crazy when he saw the numbers. He said, "Oh, reduce it," and then one day he said, "Oh, don't do it anymore." Again, there is a whole hour-and-a-half long program on diabetes, another hour-and-a-half on blood pressure. But today we're just touching the surface because I want to introduce this to people. So now, circadian misalignment. I have a whole slide on it, so I'll just skip it and go over there. Sleep deprivation. I heard a podcast by an author in UK, 3.5 hour podcast. It opens your eyes to how important sleep is. Sleep, when you sleep, your body goes through a complete repairs and maintenance. Sorry. So the worst thing you can do is not sleep properly. We covered it little bit physical exercise. I'm sorry, I don't know what. Emotional health. People who have young kids at home, pets at home, they give them unconditional love. And that's the best way to live. Love everybody. Love your friends, love your family. That's the right way to live. It gives you such a release of good hormones that you feel very good about it.
You did what?
No, I got the ginger juice.
Thank you. The spiritual health. Once you are spiritual and you have a sense of gratitude, and when I say a sense of gratitude, it has to be so profound that when you feel the sense of gratitude, your tears must come out of your eyes. That level of dedication you have towards anybody, whether it's a person, whether it's a child, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your friend, the God that you pray, what effect it has on your body, research has proved that it's very, very profound. So the spiritual health is the next topic. Now, this is another subject which is very critical. It's the last 20 years of worth of research. Thank you so much. Now, circadian rhythm. There is an Indian doctor called Satchidanand Panda at the University of San Diego. He's got incredible videos that you must watch. So number one is that every cell in human body operates on a 24-hour circadian rhythm. When we travel and we get jet lag, your circadian rhythm gets messed up. So, and also when we have daylight saving time, our circadian rhythm gets messed up. So that 24 hours, meaning, so once you disrupt this clock or rhythm, your body goes into a defensive mode, or it has some kind of a repercussion that is yet to be understood properly. The next one would be, this is the master clock. It resides in the hypothalamus of your brain. And then all the cells in the body are synchronized to this master clock. Okay? Then, once the misalignment happens, your body starts to develop diseases or discomfort and so on and so forth. Now, what affects this misalignment? So number one is the blue light received by the eyes. Now you see, I'm wearing blue light glasses, and a lot of people that's becoming normal. But the right thing to do would be to shut off your cell phone, any device that emits blue light, an hour before you go to sleep. Because your body must produce enough melatonin to be able to sleep properly. Okay? And then food intake. I mean, in India, we go for dinners and people don't start to eat until 10 o'clock at night. And then you fall asleep at 11, 12. Your body hasn't digested the food. The entire circadian rhythm is disrupted because body thinks that, oh, I just had food. It must be daylight. I'm confused. So no melatonin is produced and your sleep is not proper for you to recover fully from your day's activity. And the other is physical activity. A lot of people go to gym at night. When you go to gym at night, the kind of hormones are produced. They tell your body that it's not time to sleep. I just woke up. I'm running and foraging for food. I don't need to sleep right now. Another factor. So exercise first thing in the morning, maybe till 3, 4 o'clock, but not after that. Then next will be, I talked about it, computer, TV, at least 1 hour before bedtime. Avoid eating food after it is dark. When we talk about eating food after dark or before dark, there was an experiment done in Brazil where they let people eat whatever they're eating, but they asked them to eat before sunset, 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Almost all of the people, they lost weight and they reported higher energy. Just one thing, if you don't do anything else, if you don't want to switch to plant-based diet, whatever you want to do, even if you just eat earlier, that will help you enormously. Don't work at night, don't work out at night. And then this is the guy I was talking about, Sachin Panda. His full name is Satchidanand Panda. Okay, now this is an interesting slide. Why we are doing this workshop? Okay, so the topic is why not turn on the faucet? So the story goes like this. There were 2 roommates. They went away on vacation. And they probably lived in Long Island, a colder climate. And they poured some fat down the sink before they left. And they lowered the temperature of the house and they went away. And guess what? Their sink, they had a pipe burst, or the faucet was leaking, causing the sink to overflow. And they came, and as soon as they came back, they noticed that the floor is getting wet. So they are so worried about their wood getting spoiled that they are mopping the floor, but nobody is shutting the faucet. This is our healthcare, state of healthcare care. We are all fixing the symptom. We are not going to the root cause and not fixing it. Okay, I have 3 quotations for you here, which I like very much. There is not a pill for every ill, but there's an ill after every pill. I owned a nursing home, and on an average, residents, we used to call them patients before, then inmates before. The residents are taking on an average 11 prescribed medicine a day. 11. Think about it for a moment. We do not know the interaction of those medicines, what kind of complication you get, what kind of a damage is causing to your liver and your kidney. So there's not a pill for every ill, but there's an ill after every pill. Now it's very common. You go take one pill, BP pill or Lipitor, 6-7 months, 6-7 years down the road, the doctor will say, oh, by the way, you have this more complications, so you need to take another pill.
And you keep adding pill after pill after pill. Actually, Dr. Shah nodding her head. Okay, then this is a very famous Ayurvedic saying, when the diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When your diet is correct, medicine is of no need. You don't need medicine. Let your food be your medicine. And then this is a very, very important thing that I'm going to mention to you. The third leading cause of death in US is iatrogenic causes. Has anybody heard of iatrogenic causes? Okay. Yes.
Genetic is usually man-made or artificial.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're very knowledgeable. I commend you. Okay. So these are the leading causes of death. 635,000 heart diseases, cancer. By the way, these are all preventable. I did not put COVID there because this is beyond this. I'm only mentioning the causes that can be reversed because that's the subject today. Then you go to the next slide. Okay, so iatrogenic causes, these are the hospital only, 244,000. If you go back, you can see that it comes right here, third, because it's more than lung diseases. Now, if you go further up, you combine that with your doctor's office, wrong medication, 98,000, total over $340,000. In 1994, and I could find a more recent study, Journal of American Medical Association wrote, is equivalent to 3 jumbo jets crashing every 2 days. I'm sure it's 1 jumbo jet at least a day. And I don't want to sound like I'm anti-doctor or anything like that, so I brought this book here. Chapter 15 is nothing but this data that you see on the slide comes from this chapter 15. It's eye-opening. You may say that, oh, nothing, no big deal, my diet is fine, I'll just take a small pill. But once you end up in hospital, God forbid, these are the consequences. Another benefit of this is plaque buildup, which is heart rate. Heart is the biggest, you saw that the biggest disease is the heart disease. This is purely plant-based, this is vegetarian, this is meat eater. Now, you might say that, it may happen when I'm 60, 70 or 80, it may not happen now. Young kids, 18, 19-year-old, who died in Vietnam, they did the autopsy, and they found that they had blockages in their arteries at the age of 18 and 19. So when do they start? It starts right after you wean off your mother's milk. The plaques start to build up. But a baby's BP is half that of an adult. So the BP keep increasing. Then it goes to 120/80, which we consider normal for adult. Then it goes to 150, 190, or 150, 100. The reason it is happening because your arteries are getting narrow and narrow, so your heart has to work harder to pump more and more blood. That's the simple reason. So if you eat plant-based diet, you will have this kind of a tunnel or artery system in your body. You will need to do that. Yes, we do.
Is it reversible? In other words, if we were meat eaters, but then we become plant-based, can the arteries clean naturally?
Yes.
So our question is here. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
The University of Rice in Houston, Texas, there's one of the top leading cardiologists, that's what he does. And he had to reverse so many people. You have to talk to him and he's available.
Well, thank you, Nate. Just one second. Let me respond and I'll come to you. One of my regrets is when you go to hear a speak, right? Somebody said, oh, you know what? I was divorced and I had abuse as a child and I recovered. Everybody looks at you, wow, look at the journey here. Then you go to say that, oh, I used to have 10 diseases and I did this and I recovered. Everybody applaud. What a journey you had. Now, a guy who never had a problem, he stand up and say, I never had a problem because I follow this. How many people will listen to him? That's my problem. Okay, and I'm saying this because you asked that question. Doctor, if you hear Lalit Kapoor, he says the same thing. I had 7 diseases and I improved. And I applaud him because at least today is on the right path. President Clinton, Sanjay Gupta interviewed him on CNN. Exactly the same thing he says. So yes, it is absolutely reversible. In fact, you don't have the same body that you had a year ago.
Almost 80 to 90% of your body is completely brand new. Your 30 trillion cells are constantly recycling themselves, getting flushed out. Your skin is not the same skin you had yesterday. Cells keep falling off all the time. Your organs get that. So they did a study of smokers who were smoking all life and they got off their cigarette. Their lungs, instead of becoming black, become pink in 2 years. So good question, really. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So sort of controversial, but do you see that, traditionally the medical establishment in the US is kind of connected to a system that is designed to cure you as opposed to prevent illness? Do you see that changing?
I have a few slides on it. If time permits, I'll go over that as to what's happening in our medical industry right now. And it is not doctor's fault because we do not teach them nutrition in the medical school. So ultimately what happened, they just practice what they practice. So I'll give you a live example. A little over a year ago, I was in San Francisco. So Lalit Kapoor invited me to a workshop that he was delivering a talk on BP. An Indian gentleman about 74 years of age walked up at the end of the talk. And it's on video, by the way. I think I can find that video if anybody wants to watch it. He gave his name. My name is so-and-so. And about 3 months ago, I came here to San Francisco because my daughter is delivering a baby. So my wife and I came to help her. And we both sat down, my daughter and I. My granddaughter comes to me and asked me, Nana meaning grandpa, are you having a baby? I was so ashamed, I was so shocked that I realized that I follow Lalit Kapoor's, I get those messages because another friend of him suggested it. So this guy went on that diet. 3 months later, standing in that ISIS India Community Center, and he said, I'm ashamed to tell you that I'm a physician. Since the age of 42, I've been taking medicine. In last 3 months, I got rid of all my medicine. I wish I knew when I was 42. And I don't know how many thousands of people I treated and get prescribed the same medicine to them that I'm taking. All I had to do was turn off the faucet. That's what he said. And there was a big applaud for him like that. So you're right. I mean, this is happening, and this has to happen because at 20% of our GDP, we are not educating our children the right way. We are not putting the police force on the street. All we're doing is taking care of people. According to one estimate, in last 5 years of people's life, on an average, Americans spent $5 million. Completely dead, wasted investment. We can grow as a society if we make that kind of investment. Now, I talked about that. I'm going to share something with you called nutritional density index. So this is too big. I'm not going to go much into it, but there's a doctor, Joel Fuhrman. He is one of the holistic doctors who treats you, but in New Jersey. You can call him and make an appointment. You will not get an appointment with him. He's completely booked. I know, I'm told, but his assistant, two assistants or three assistants will see you. Joel Fuhrman, F-U-H-R-M-A-N. He's got fantastic doctor, very nice guy. So look at this. Each one of these food is given a score based on the equation H equal N divided C, which is nutrients per calorie. Okay, nutrients per calorie. So then he scored it based on a possible score of 1,000 to 0, 1,000 being the most dense and 0 being the least nutrients, right? So you look at this kale, mustard green, collard green, watercress, they get 1,000, meaning they are the most nutrient dense food. And that's what Bill Clinton is eating 5 times a day. Most nutrient, and that's why I say you can overeat. Meat, seafood, and dairy products receive a score below 50 and are considered to be health supporting. And this is what his argument is that when you eat this diet, ND diet, you can reverse your diseases. Okay. Now I just summarized something from his website. I just summarized this green vegetable. Look at this score here: mustard, kale, Swiss chard, bok choy, Chinese cabbage, spinach, arugula. By the way, spinach is very, very healthy. It has a lot of protein and iron. And look at this: cola, Coca-Cola, or any kind of soda is one. So think about it. What kind of a damage we're doing to our body? Okay, to answer your question, and I think I should go maybe another 5 minutes and then we should stop because it's a little over an hour.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If we go to this 5 green score 100, but you are still eating meat and fish and eggs, what will happen?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and I was expecting something like that. So you have a bank account. Okay, you have, you must keep $100 in it, but you're consuming, let's say $100 a day. That's so calorie intake versus calorie consumption. Now you say, you know what, I'm gonna give it some healthy food and I'm gonna make a deposit of 80. But let me not make such a good deposit and let me keep it only 10, even though I'm eating the same food. So now you're down to 90. This is how the diseases happen. You're not giving the body, so yes, the damage that is caused by meat will take some of the good things that the green things are giving you. So your net deposit in the bank for day would not be 100, it would be maybe 80 or 70. And then slowly and gradually, look, our body is very resilient. I mean, I hear people say that I had a 10%, I mean 90% blockage. And I look at myself and I say 90% blockage. This gentleman or this lady had 10 times the capacity. She's surviving, she's standing until the doctor discovered that it has a blockage. Like, think about it for a moment. Your body gives you so much redundancy, so forgiving, but it has a limit. Once you cross that limit, again, everybody chooses their own journey.
But one quick question.
Yes.
So on plant-based diet, how do you get your proteins? Like, you do need some protein, right? I mean, you said you don't need that much that you explained. But our body needs.
Okay, so I did talk about it. I'm not sure if you were there or not. A human baby from birth to 3 months doubles in weight and then triples the weight in 1 year and doubles the length in 1 year. 5% protein is what's there in mother's milk. 5%.
5%.
The most optimal protein consumption is 8%. Americans are consuming 30 to 40% in protein. There is not a single instance of protein deficiency in any of the modern developed nations. But there are hundreds of examples of gout, which is the excess of protein. That shows, that gives you the answer. And by the way, everything has proteins. You cannot run away from protein. Spinach has protein. Almonds have protein, walnuts have protein. Every food that you just Google what foods contain protein, you will see a long list of things.
Pistachios come at the first, this thing, they're the highest.
When I was designing, when I took this talk from Lalit Kapoor when I was making my own slides, I realized that I will not share something that can be easily Googled. So that's something, you can go home and do it. I mean, why need I do that? So now this is a little bit of a controversial subject, but I'll talk about it. So let's say food industry, healthcare industry, pharmaceutical industry, government and media. There is a politics going on here. And we're going to talk about some of these subjects here. What is normal, placebo and nocebo effect, modern versus alternate, side effects, and nexus of industry, bias, and then all of these things I'm going to leave. But let's just cover a few topics, okay? So number one, why can't you just have one chip? Because the more you eat, the more they sell, the more the money. You will never see an advertisement for sweet potato in any TV or any newspaper or any media. Because something that sells for 39 cents a pound, there's not enough money in it. But the same sweet potato, when it is processed into some sort of a chip, sells at $2.99 at Trader Joe's. You figure out there's money in it, that's what they're advertising. Second, healthcare industry want people, make it easy to diagnose this and prescribe medicine. Guess what? If you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a pill and you're cured in a week, you're not going to see the doctor for 1 year. But if he gives you a pill and say, come back in 3 months because I'm going to check you again, you're paying there 4 times now. That's how they make their living. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not here to complain against anybody. Pharmaceutical industry, they make money by selling medicine and this kit. It's not in their interest to remove or clear the diseases. It's up to us, nobody else. Now, government officials, most of them who are authority, they get jobs in the industry. There's a great movie called What the Health, where the guy went and talked to, top food companies, pharmaceutical companies, and they would not come on the TV and interview him. And he did research on that. Great movie. Politicians want to get elected, so they need raise to money. Who's going to give them money? The people who make money. Simple as that. And media wants to sell more magazine. For example, Time magazine published an article on butter. the delicious butter, something like that, 20 years ago. Guess what? Dairy industry bought millions of copies to distribute. Each reprint was $5. That makes it loves it. If they publish an article on kale, nobody wants to buy it, nobody wants to pay them anything. So why would they publish it? They need to make money ultimately. Now, we talked about the normal, what is normal, what is not normal. Please, there are plenty of seats. You can come here or there, doesn't matter. Thank you. Now, look at this. This is the diabetes guideline. American College of Physicians says A1C between 7 and 7.9. You can go up to 7.9 A1C and you don't have an issue with it. Then American Diabetes Association saying under 7. This is their minimum, this is their maximum. Clinical endocrinologists recommend maintaining A1C below 6.5. Now guess what? These last two associations cater to diabetic patients. This is, by the way, this is nothing that I'm telling you, which is, I'm not maligning any industry or anything like that. You just go Google it and see this guideline. I can even show you how to do that. Here, most doctors who treat diabetic patients follow AAC or AD guideline. Nobody wants to follow American College of Physicians, which is the larger body of doctors. Then go to blood pressure. BP guidelines. So there's a joint national committee, 6, 7, and 8. Joint National Committee 6 says optimal BP is 120/80, but hypertension is 140/90. Okay. Then JNC came out and they said, no, the cardiovascular disease begin at 150/75. So between 2004 and 2018, hundreds of people become, thousands of people become BP patients. Because now they all have their BP medicine because you need to keep it below that. And look at this. And they said that the risk doubles with 20/10. So if you go from 150 to 135 over 85, your risk doubles. And pre-hypertensive is 120/80. Then the JNC 8 was formed in 2014. They say less than 60, your age is less than 60, the normal is 140/90. Over 60 is 150/90. Think about it for a moment. They disbanded the JNC 8. They discontinued them. And they got so ticked off that they published their finding anyway, even after they were fired. This is the politics of medicine. And by the way, when I saw this text, I didn't believe it myself. So I went and looked at it myself, and this is what I found. I said, this is what is happening. By the way, if you Google JNC8, it is a fantastic document. It talks about different levels and so on. Very, very powerful. Now, we talked about it a little bit, in order to remain healthy, you need to follow these 5 steps: food, plant-based detoxification, fasting, water, circadian rhythm, sleep on time, and don't eat after 6, physical activity, emotional and spiritual. Something else that, this is like, I just summarize everything, whatever I discussed today in these 8 points. And by the way, anybody wants to just email me, those who registered have my email address, and I'll share whatever data you want. No dairy, no eggs, no seafood, no refined or highly processed food, no sugar, no oil. Now, you may say that no sugar, no oil. If you have to reverse chronic diseases, if you don't, you can go up to maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons of sugar or 1 to 2 teaspoons of oil. Now, a lot of people from Indian community ask me, how do I cook my food? So you can cook your food in peanut butter or water. Even you can or dry roast your cumin and mustard, and food works fine. So in 2012, I developed a cardiovascular disease, even though I was vegan for 10 years. And I went to Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn's workshop in Cleveland, Ohio for a day. And he told us, be strictly no oil. My wife went to him and said, oh, we cook in oil. I said, ma'am, no oil, not a drop. So we came home and she did it for 3 months. 2, 3 things came out of it. Number 1 was my taste buds changed. The fruits, the vegetable tasted much different. Indians eat flattened rice called poha. She started making poha without oil. It tasted better than one with oil. So your taste buds change when you start to do that. Another thing is eat fruits, vegetable, herbal, spice, green juicing. I didn't talk much about green juicing because it's second best to eating greens. But I make green juice for the last 18, 19 months. And I might have a picture somewhere. But Anyway, so I take 15 different ingredients from lettuce to gourd to carrots, cucumber, karela, and stuff like that, and raw turmeric, ginger, lemon, so on and so forth, orange. I put everything in 15 different ingredients. And you can put anything you want in it. I have a cold press juicer. And I started drinking it 3 times a day, just 20 minutes before my meal. And my meals got reduced to 2 in a day, and I have more energy than I had before.
So you drink 3 times juice?
I used to when I started.
So
3 times. 3 times, 1 glass, 250 ml, 8 ounces.
right now you still.
I'm down to 2 now. And you don't feel hungry. That juice, when you drink it, it goes into your guts. Some of it is digested in your body. So in 20 minutes, it goes straight to your guts because there's nothing much to do with the juice. It's just directly ready for absorption. Your gut bacteria loves this because it has so many nutrients. There are 38 trillion bacteria in our gut, and they don't know what deficiency they have. So they love this. And gut is our second brain. So you get a high level of energy by drinking this juice.
So you make one day and keep it in the.
So I make it, initially I was so excited that I used to make it every day, but now I changed to every other day. So we make 3 times a week, and one day we make smoothie because our guests don't love smoothie. That's what we do. And it's one of the best things I did for my.
But when you make juice, it's only liquid comes out, the real, all the fiber and everything.
So that's a good point. Soluble fiber versus insoluble fiber.
Okay.
Your body cannot absorb that much insoluble fiber anyway. That's why I said juicing is the second best option. I agree with you. But if you look at a pound of, let's say, I need to really weigh how much stuff I produce with it. That would be a good thing to say. So let's say I put 4 or 5 pounds of producing. What comes out, I can drink in 2 days. But if you want me to juice it there and chew that much carrot, that much apple, I can't physically do that. So the second best option. Another case study. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I finish everything? No. Okay.
So, quick question, when you said smoothie, when you're doing no dairy, then what are you putting in the smoothie?
So smoothie I make with mango, frozen berries,
So no yogurt?
no yogurt. No, I can put almond milk in it.
Yogurt.
No. So yogurt, again, dairy is very bad. I don't know if you heard initial part,
No, I
as you can help it. So we don't recommend dairy at all. Now, the challenge with smoothie is that it tastes great, but when you spin it at 1000 RPM a minute, 1000 revolution per minute, it pulls air molecule and fits into the drink. So you're bloating. As opposed to green juice, which is masticating, cold press, what comes out is pure juice. There's no air in it. So you can drink it in one shot, but you can drink a whole glass of smoothie and not feel bloated. So the smoothie has a disadvantage. Plus it oxidizes the ingredient. When it's a cold pressed juice, it's not oxidizing it. So that's the benefit.
But almond milk store bought is okay?
No, because it has processed, it has preservatives in it.
Oh.
What I do is that, so I'll tell you 2 or 3 things that I do, then I'll come back to you in a minute. So number 1, I soak, and I'll give you my formula. I soak about 45 almonds. And overnight, then you can do with the skin, without skin, whatever works for you. I take the skin out. If you make it with skin, it's a little bit brown. If you don't make it with skin, it's a little bit whiter. Then you put it in a blend, run it for 1 minute. And you put 350 ml water in it. So that's enough for 3 days. That's what I do.
45 almonds and how?
45 almonds in 300 ml, 300 ml. And again, you can make it and then you can judge if you want thicker or you want thinner. If you want thinner consistency, then you put more water. If you want thicker, you put less.
And that stays good for how many days?
3 days.
3 days.
4th day is gone bad. I experimented that also. It doesn't work.
3 days.
3 days is good. Yes, sir. And oh, by the way, sugar. You know, I bad mouth sugar so much. So what do I do for my sugar? Because I do like to have a cup of coffee or tea in the morning. So we soak fig overnight with raisins. And when you soak it, you get a little bowl. And because, you know, my kids and guys outside, so we soak a little bit more. So you take them and pour the water out in a cup. And that's my sugar. If that's not satisfactory, I buy date syrup. Dates are 100% fruits. So there is no process, there is no processing it. So date syrup.
Date syrup is available in the store?
Date syrup is available all over the place. Date syrup is fantastic. Date syrup is very good.
So it doesn't raise your sugar? Is it
No, because see, it has fiber in it, so the assimilation is very slow. Very slow process. You have a question, sir?
No, no, no.
I was saying, what's wrong with yogurt?
If you want, when you go back to the beginning of my talk, which is on YouTube, you can please watch it, and then you can always call me. The pen has my number on it, and I'll be happy to answer it. No problem.
Okay, intermittent fasting.
Yeah, we're gonna go into intermittent fasting. Okay, so I'm glad, thank you. Yes,
I have never used the almond milk, but when you said they use preservative, I just do not think they use preservative.
okay, so let me answer your question. When I make almond milk at home, why is bad on the 4th day? But when I buy from Trader Joe, it stays in my fridge for a week.
I know, because they pasteurize it. Pasteurization, it was not adding preservative, it was killing bacteria, pathogenic and.
So when you pasteurize something, you're processing it, and the nutrients, some of the nutrients that maybe.
Like, little bit, like, very, the pasteurization temperature doesn't go high, it's 15 seconds and 70 degrees Celsius.
Listen, if that works for you, once I stop making my own almond milk, I stop buying from Trader Joe.
Right, no.
It's just my taste. I love that
I
taste.
just wanted to clarify, pasteurizing is not adding preservative.
Right. Again, whatever works for you, works for you. Whatever works for you, I'm happy to get it.
Right, when we cook out foods, that's high temperature than that.
That's true. That is true.
I have a friend, she makes every weekend her almond milk, and she says it stays good for the week. And one day she wasn't home, but I went to the mother-in-law and she served me some tea. And since she knew I'm vegan, she gave me that tea with that almond milk. I still cannot forget the taste.
I don't know.
It's very, very nice.
Everybody does.
What, like, was it homemade? It means like everybody is talking.
No, that homemade almond milk.
She's saying that the homemade almond milk is still good for a week. In my house, it doesn't, so maybe her fridge is better than mine. Yes.
Oh, maybe sometimes by itself.
Let's come back to the more substantive. I want Eddie to go and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so Eddie, go ahead, please.
So you're saying, make sure that your urine is white. I drink a lot of coffee. I drink like 4 coffees a day and some water in between. My urine is white. Is that bad or?
My information is what I read because I love to read this stuff. So if you Google the color of the urine chart, there are a lot of videos on it and stuff like that. So you need to do that research. I'm not done deep enough research, nor I drink 4 cups of coffee, so I can't tell you anything from my personal experience. And I'm on this guy. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
No, what I wanted to add, it depends on the quality of the almond, how much bacteria growth you have. That depends on the sunlight. So if you roast the almond, it will last longer.
I agree with you. Our main focus today is to removing chronic disease, not to make almond milk. So that's the whole idea. Anybody has any other question?
And organic vegetables or non-organic? That's very important because we can eat raw, so what do you?
Okay, so when, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up in India, everything was organic. There was nothing chemical in it. You buy the same thing, you eat the same day. The world has changed a lot. So I think the jury is still out there, whether it's good or it's bad. The food that you eat, which is surface is exposed, like strawberry, I think is better organic. But a banana, I don't care because it is a peel on it. You just peel it and what's inside, the pesticide isn't, gone to that level anyway. Plus, look at it this way. We talk about organic versus inorganic. The reason being is the pesticides and hormone. An animal is fattened for like 18 months to 2 years with all kinds of hormone and everything else, fed all kinds of things in the slaughter. All those pesticides are in their body. Look at the tomato plant. In 60 days, you get a tomato. And you are not feeding anything to the tomato. So how bad the tomato would be, even though it's not organic? That's my theory. That's how I work. Yes, Vivi.
I just have a question about honey as a sweetener, natural honey, not the processed and the one in the beer bottle, but a real would be honey. Would you say
They will
it's?
say, honey is not considered plant-based, it's animal based, so again, it's up to you. If you want to take it, follow the two teaspoon guideline, and you can have it. But I personally don't take it.
You don't-
I don't take it. And there are some great documentaries on honey that bees population has reduced so much that what you're getting now is fake honey, not real honey. And it's coming from China. And they have perfected the science in such a way. Maybe this is something I want you to hear. They have perfected this mechanical process in such a way that they cannot detect from impure to pure honey. They deceive the system that is used to test this. It's very scary. I watched the video that.
I buy it from a farm.
That is, again, I'm not saying that, you may be good there, but I'm just saying that generally honey is so. Let's go to intermittent fasting, because this is important. So I mentioned it casually that 12 hours, your body has enough stored sugar in the liver. After 12 hours, the body is depleted. That's called intermittent fasting. So if you don't eat for 16 hours, that 4 hours, the body is eating its own recyclable material. That's the essence of intermittent fasting. And we talked about Ekadashi, Navratri fast, so that's, So the longer you keep the gap, but 8 hours, they consider this an optimum. Eating into 8 hours, eat as much as you like, 16 hours fast. I think everything else here are done. Let's go. This is another example. This gentleman, how much is changed in 21 to, just like, January to July. And this is the concluding remark, cause of all chronic diseases, diet and lifestyle. We change diet. If this is reverse, it's easier than you think. Big change versus small, low hanging fruits, meaning, start with something small like instead of eating potato chips, eat carrots or cucumber slices and stuff like that. This is that I gave a little bit, the 216 Nobel Prize. I just put the slide in there. There's another thing called J curve. Okay, this J curve is what I talked about when I don't have a slide to show you that, but J curve looks like this. It goes like this. Okay, so when you're you can turn the lights on. We're done with this. Thank you, Paresh bhai. So when you get a disease, let's say you're here and you start to take medicine, so disease go down. And then if you continue to take the medicine, the rate of death goes up. So and that's just a J curve is an amazing process that happens.
So hyperbola.
Hyperbolic curve. So what happens is that with some medicine, let's say you got very bad blood pressure and you took just a pill and it brought you to the level that 140 or 150 over 90 or 100. If you stop at that point, that's perfect. But mostly what happens is that we try to make it very low because the guidelines are such. So then it becomes counter-effective. So I want to, anybody has any questions?
The doctors don't want to stop those medications.
So once they start, they start.
We talked about it.
So is there any doctor who can help us follow this plant-based diet? And change
Joel
the
Furman is one of the
lifestyle?
doctors that is very good. I'll find some names for you. I know you, so I'll definitely reach out to you.
has so many videos on YouTube.
Yeah, Dr. Greger, there are so many people who can. Dr. Joel Furman is also very good.
Joel Furman is very good.
Right. So before I invite our Vice President Gunjan Rastogi to give vote of thanks, I want to say that this presentation was not possible if I didn't have the help of Sumanji and Tejal. So please give them a big round of applause. On my team, I have 3 people who helped me, 4 people who remains immensely. So Namita Deshmukh and Bhagyashree Rathore, they did all the mailing and preparing of the flyer and everything. And Millie Bakshi and Neha Jha helped me prepare the presentation. It's not perfect in any way. I'm a student like you are. I maybe a little bit, I've done more work than you have done, but whatever I'm saying is no way the gospel or the 100% right thing to do. It's a journey. And our intent is that the people that we love should remain on this earth longer and more important, remain healthier. So one thing that we didn't talk about is the blue zone. There are 5 blue zones, and Okinawa is one of them. And we all talked about that, oh, we are 60, we are 70, we're gonna have diseases, we are 80 years. So it's all not true. If you go to Japan in Okinawa, people are 100, 110, 105, they're working in the field. That's not the blue zone. So you don't have to suffer. All you need to do, change the diet, and that diet gives you if you follow it for 3 to 6 months, you will see that your taste buds will change and you will really enjoy it. So I didn't mention it, but after I came back from Cleveland, Caldwell Esselstyn's, I boiled Meenu, my wife who's here, by the way, cuts to chop those greens, and then I boiled them. My grandchildren, who was here, he saw it and he wants to eat. I want to eat green like Baba is eating. Now both the grandkids fight to eat green. Their mother is such a hard-pressed time to feed them good food, but they want to eat the green. This is the reality of what's happening. I'm not kidding you. I have video of these kids fighting for greens. Greens is to a common person, it's not like fancy food, but so once you change your habits, you will start to adopt it, and the energy will come in, like, I said in concluding, much easier than you think.
But all the greens you said.
I'm sorry?
All the greens you mentioned, they are not available either Whole Food or Trader Joe's, so where do you get it?
Well, Meenu, you tell you. She's the one who does the shopping.
When you go, you can buy cakes, start, bok choy, and other greens also.
Mustard green is very
Mustard
good.
green in Indian stores, you get all that.
No,
Indians, but they are not organic.
No, you don't
They
have
don't
to be
put it on
organic. That's what Rakesh is saying. So first of all, I want to thank Rakesh ji for a wonderful presentation. I want to ask a secret. आपने कहा almond milk बनाते हैं. He makes the almond milk. I want to ask him, you make it or Meenu makes it? Oh, he makes it. Oh, okay. Another big round of applause. Because I have to tell that to my husband, So thank you all for joining in this wonderful. Yes, we have some organic tea and some vegan snacks outside. So please feel free to give us 2 minutes. We'll just set it up. And please feel free to enjoy that. We will be having more talks. And I'm sure, please give your feedback to Rakesh ji. I'm sure you guys have registered on his, invite. And he forgot to thank a very important person. I don't see him. My Riyansh. Oh my God, his grandson was here helping with the video. So big round of applause for Riyansh. It's so impressive to see the family to be part of it. And I can vouch for it. My granddaughter and my grandson, they also love cucumbers and greens. Salad is their favorite food, believe it or not, because my daughter also, they also promote a lot of greens, and they're not vegan, but they're all vegetarian. But it's what you feed them when they're young is what they start enjoying. So with that, thank you so much once again. And we look forward to seeing you once again.
Yes.
Yes, you have a question?
You think we could put Jean on the spot and she could tell us what a typical day in the Bhargava household is like?
I have no problem, but oh, so very importantly, I think we're running out of time. We're supposed to leave the place by 3 o'clock, but of course, Meenu can come and speak. And we want to inform you all, we are having our vegan Thanksgiving, WBV Thanksgiving on November 20th, which is a Sunday, and it will be at the Metropolitan. We will be sending you the invitations. Please come and join us. It would be a wonderful evening starting at 5 in the evening, 5 to 10, and all the other details will follow.
Yeah, peer pressure or peer working with peers is very essential to maintaining this lifestyle. You find like-minded people, you will see that it's easier. Thank you, Gunjan.
Thank you, Meenuji.
No, what was your question for Meenu?
No, she wanted to know what is the, I don't know.
Daily life.
Daily, how she prepares food for the household. What you
Why don't you come? They ask you a question, you have to answer it.
Yeah, especially what you guys eat for lunch.
We already know he makes the almond milk, we know that.
So I think that was a very informative discussion. We are having.
Yeah, yeah. You know, people can hear you better if you stand right behind it.
नहीं तो आपको बताया आपके breakfast में क्या खाते हैं, lunch में क्या खाते हैं, dinner में क्या खाते हैं.
Okay, breakfast,
Just in 1 or 2 days.
we are, as you know that we are all vegan. Breakfast, I made sometime upma, poha, sprouted moong, sprouted chana.
We can hear
Or
You know, they cannot hear. You have to go behind the mic. Yeah.
because people are talking in the back.
अब आ रहा है?
Yeah.
अब आ रहा है?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sometime I make poha, उपमा, दलिये का उपमा, और sprouted moong, sprouted chana, sometimes oats, steel cut oats in oat milk, breakfast का ये, और sometimes like I have grandkids also, so they want some fried food also, sandwiches also, we can make, we can treat, तो वो बनाते हैं. Lunch में
You know English.
okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. In the lunch, for lunch, we make like when we both of us are there, so we just make like we eat only 2 meals. In the morning, peanuts.
Peanuts and everything, yeah.
Yeah, in the morning, I soak peanuts in the night, and almonds, walnut, and figs, and
Raisins.
little bit raisins. And we make fresh juice also with the vegetables, mostly vegetables, greens, and little bit fruits. So we both of us have 1 glass of fresh juice, boiled peanuts, and soaked almonds and everything, 1 banana, and fruit ball. So that's our both of us normal days, weekdays is breakfast. And then for 11:30 to 12:30, I make sometime poha, like I told you, sometimes moong ki dal, like moong ki dal ka chila, or like dosa, gram dal and all that. And then for dinner, salad, some type of lentil, rice, multigrain, like bread, like roti, and some rice.
तो
That's
आप lunch में रोटी lunch में नहीं खाते?
We don't eat lunch.
We don't.
We don't eat lunch.
Both of us are there. When the kids are here, then the breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything is sometime because they chola bhatura and the pav bhaji and dosa, we make everything. It's not that we are restricting ourselves for eating something. Sometimes they have pakoras also. It's raining, they want
But
pakoras.
then the frying is not allowed.
No, it's not good.
No, it's not good. For him only, but not the kids. He always does, but he eats little bit. But we all eat. It's not that we are, no, oil, nothing. We don't do that. Yes, right.
So how do
But
you
see,
make
we do
poha
not have
without-
chronic diseases in our house. That's, it's very disclaimer important. If you have chronic diseases, you need to follow. If you don't have, then you can, like Naimji's question was that, what happens if I eat meat? So if your body is getting 100, instead of 100, now you're putting 80 in it for the day. So you have to look at good deficiency. Some deficiency you can handle, but you have constant deficiency, then it becomes disease appear. It takes time.
And how about the poha and upma, how do we make it without oil?
Yeah, that's
No.
the question.
I used to make without oil when he was on no oil diet. But because of the kids, we have to. So I used to soak the poha, and I used to mix all the spices in it. And I used to steam it, the poha. And onion, I used to chop raw onion, and I used to serve. But I put very little oil, like he said, 2 teaspoons of oil or 2 teaspoons of ghee, we are allowed during the whole day. So we put very little oil, just for the, flavor, that's all.
So basically you avoid all milk, cheese of course, paneer,
Yes.
dahi, dahi,
Yeah,
ghee.
yeah.
Sometimes you use it for cooking, you just said.
But ghee, no ghee, no.
Oil.
Oil. No
So
ghee.
oil with olive oil or vegetable, any
All
oil?
oils are bad, so it doesn't matter. Now,
No, he says that. I don't know.
Maybe he's making it very
You keep it particularly over there.
no, when you look at the oils, the best oil is mustard oil, cold pressed. Because it has the omega ratio of 1 to 3. Every other oil, the omega 3 to 6 ratio is worse than 1 to 3.
Yes.
That's why the mustard oil is the best oil.
mustard oil.
Touching honey.
Yes. Yeah. So how are you going to find over here?
You get it, yeah.
But I alternate between sesame and peanut oil, plus I mustard oil and olive oil. That's what I do.
No, but we get the mustard oil in the store, but I don't think it's cold.
You can find it.
Online.
Online.
And also, you can get vanilla also get it.
It's not written there, I tried.
Okay, Gunjan ji, is she done or anybody has any question for her? Yeah.
Then if
How do you make the almond milk? I'll show you. I already talked about it.
Because I get it from Costco, but you said you make it homemade, and I want it, I don't know.
I'll show
Take
you.
it out.
I think we have, yes.
So we can eat now.
I think